Joining me now, syndicated columnist Miguel Perez, columnist, New York Daily News, the Pulitzer-winning Michael Goodwin, and from Washington, D.C., founder, president, Rainbow Push Coalition, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Gentlemen, good to have you with us.
Good to be with you.
Let me start with you, Michael. We've got, there's a flood of candidates here. Does our cup runneth over, or do we need to add a few more?
No, well, it's interesting. The unity idea is kind of fascinating given what's happening in the Senate this week. Look, I think this is a long way to go, and the front runners have a long time to stay in front. So it's dangerous to be in front, this early in the race. History would show us. On the other hand, I think that the barriers to entry are so high in terms of the cost, the name recognition.
They're estimating $100 million, Miguel. I mean, this is crazy. Let's turn to the Senate. The Senate can't figure out a way to debate the most important issue facing the nation.
No, they're actually debating about how and when to debate.
It is
absurd. It's absurd. But I also like the idea of unity. I think that the extremists on both ends in Congress have to be brought together to some kind of middle ground so that they can agree on something.
The Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee right now are shaking in their boots when they hear you say that.
Well, I love it. That's great.
Well, actually, so do I. Jesse Jackson, what do you think?
Well, I think that the crowded field is, you got about a 14-month period between now and the first, and actually I think that there's a benefit for those who have less known names, but I think that to be out front that long means a lot of people will have a target on your back.
Let's take a look at the most recent poll. And this shows CNN WMUR New Hampshire presidential poll. Republican primary voters' choice for nominee. McCain, 28%. If we can see that. Do we have that? There we go. McCain, 28. Giuliani, 27. Then it's Romney, Gingrich, others, undecided. Undecided doing pretty well at this early stage, Michael.
Yes. Good to be undecided.
Is this, does it look like there's any surprise here, or is that pretty much what you would have expected?
No, I've said all along that I think Giuliani and Clinton will be their party's nominees. They are presumably the front runners now. I do think, though, Lou, one of the just the horse race issues is how early the states are now stacking up. So that's why you're going to need so much money to get through the big states very early on.
Let's take a look at the Democrats, and again, it's WMUR, CNN, New Hampshire presidential primary poll. Clinton, as you see there, I mean, she has a strong lead over Obama, and I will say, I mean, Obama wasn't even around 6 months ago, so for him to be there, I think, is remarkable. Edwards, of course, is doing better. Gore, others undecided doing even better as Democrats. Jesse, what's your reaction?
Well, Obama can only go up. He has a very strong appeal to undecideds, a very strong appeal to independent voters, and if it is to his advantage for the race to remain crowded. I remember coming into New York, if it had been Gore and Dukakis and I probably could have won in a three-person race. In a two-person race, of course, it became different. So a crowded field gives Obama, I think, frankly, some even more advantage.
Jesse, I've never answered this. How do you feel when some young people and some people who haven't read much say, that'd be really neat to have our first African-American candidate for president? How does that make you feel?
Well, I think it's a bit unhistorical, but the good news is, it seems to me, is that you're thinking now about a woman out front, and it was a big deal to get Ferraro 20 years ago. Now a woman is out front. They get legitimate candidates in Richardson from New Mexico. I think that this field is the most diverse, and it represents 42 years of struggle since the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
Could I make one point, Lou, too? Sure. I think what's going on in the Senate, though, does show why it's very hard for a sitting senator to get elected president.
They're having the company they keep?
Well, but also having to take votes which can be used against you. And I mean, John Kennedy was the last sitting senator to be elected president, and I think that's how it backfired on John Kerry.
What's interesting, though, people forget this. Part of his popularity and note came out of a book that he wrote, Profiles in Courage. It gave him a standing that was not really accorded to him until he had done that. Obama's book, The Audacity of Hope, is a runaway bestseller, a real phenomenon. So that may play into this as well. Miguel, this today, DHS accused of just being complete idiots, basically, by the General Accountability Office. We still don't have secure borders. We still don't have secure ports. What in the heck are we doing in this country?
Well, you know, first of all, it's just a lack of leadership on both sides of the aisle here, and especially President Bush. When I see President Bush in the State of the Union talk about how we need a reform without animosity and without amnesty, he's playing both sides of the fence. He has to show some. I would respect the guy.
No pun intended.
But
both sides of that.
I mean, seriously, the Mexican border. No, but seriously, I mean, this guy has to show some. I would respect him more if he disagrees with me and takes a real position on this once and for all. It's just like he's trying to please both sides constantly for years now.
And the issues of, and I've got to turn to this. The issue that we're looking at in this country right now, in terms of public education, you mentioned 1965, Jesse. The progress that we've made in this country, race relations, in a host of other areas, we still have issues that we have to confront in our, principally our major cities in this country. All sorts of economic policies, immigration policies. Give us a quick view, and we're going to wrap it up here, Jesse.
We've basically neglected urban policy. We had leave no child behind. In the budget, we left them behind. We've left adequate housing. We left that behind. What's driving the agenda tonight is this war. And so its outcome will determine the fate, in some sense, of Senator McCain. I think that in the war with dignity and a real focus on domestic trade policy might be the issues that begin to cut.
Not only have we ignored, urban policy, we have ignored the rest of the world. We've ignored Latin America. We have ignored, we're just so concentrated on what's going on out there in Iraq and the Middle East, and that's it. That's all we concentrate on at the White House, and it's got to stop.
You get the last word, Mike.
Well, I think that one of the dangers, Lou, is after this debate is over, however Iraq ends, there still is a larger war on terror issue that we've got to confront. And I'm afraid that Iraq is sapping all the energy, not only out of all these other issues, but out of this larger war on terror, which could be the end of us.
And I suppose my 2 cents on this would be that our leadership has so little energy, I worry about sapping any of it in this country. Jesse Jackson, Miguel Perez, Michael Goodwin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
A reminder now to vote in tonight's poll. Do you believe that DHS officials should be held accountable for lying to Congress about Border Patrol agents Campion and Ramos? Yes or no? Cast your vote at LouDobbs.com. Results upcoming. And we'll have more of your thoughts right after this quick break. Stay with us.